Previously on Tendril.
I'm sure you've all heard of Zengar X, that tourist trap of a moon. A Spagnetian guest was pummeled to death by a cluster of seemingly sentient meteors. Are you intelligent? Can you
The monster in Thrush's body makes a violent lunge toward Dr. Mango's Symbulon.
My name's Roku Dekenin. Do you promise that you won't harm another life?
What it actually appears to be is a hyper-conditioned microbial culture, a type of life form called an extremophile. We call these things like this extremos. They seed themselves, like this primordial ooze, and build an entire ecosystem from scratch. We may be able to freeze it.
Disturbing whispers creep into the back of Switch's mind, asking her to relent. Let them in.
You told us there was nothing to worry about. You said there would be peace!
It's the Extremo messing with your brain.
With a brutal torrent of blood, another Spacnarian is rendered dead on the desolate moon of Zengar X.
I can't lose someone the first day on the job!
You gave me your word that you wouldn't harm a living thing. That's why I will become the Extremo's first willing host.
Roku raises her hand to her mouth.
No!
Don't!
And takes a bite of the fungus.
Time for some bloom and doom.
This is Tendril, the Banshee Chronicles. Episode 3, Bloom and Doom. Written by Kaitlyn Radel and Ryan Borses.
I think this might be the boss fight. Oh my god, the smell.
Roku Dekenin towers over the Banshee crew, a grotesque amalgam of plant and fungus, wheezing troubled, fluttering breaths through her fused lungs. She has merged with the Extremo, and already she is unrecognizable, ashes fluttering like snow around her deformed shape. Her skin is a sickly green pallor, mottled with darker browns. Woven into her viney limbs are swollen, fleshy red petals, speckled with white. Her distended eyes bug in no particular direction, and her froggish mouth is spread wide with a toothy, crooked grin. Where she once exuded a loamy scent, she now reeks of decay. Her voice rumbles through the rocky, soot-covered ground.
I can feel it now. The collective suffering of generations, of worlds and lives lost, not to destroy, to create. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm their first willing host. What we wanted. And she gives us a voice, finally.
Switch, do you think we could reason with it?
Doesn't hurt to try. Why are you here? What do you want?
Also, were you created in a lab? By an Earth government, perhaps?
We want to be born anew. And we can do that here. From here we can spread to many planets. Through the people, their bodies, their mouths. They can be our hosts, just like Roku.
Before anyone can react, the Extremo, made supernaturally fast by its size, lumbers off in the direction of the resort, footsteps shaking the rocky floor below. Switch holsters her blaster.
They're going to the kitchen.
How do you know that?
They literally said they wanted to be eaten.
Time is of the essence. We can take the shuttle back. I'm going to tell our remaining Spacnarians to hold tight. We can call another one for them when this is settled.
While Switch stalks over to the mourning Sploosh and Dorsey, Kronist leads Cade toward the waiting shuttle.
Well, they weren't a very fun guy.
Kronist slowly turns his head to look at Cade, fixing him with a glare.
Do you think this is funny, Ensign?
Get it, Captain? Because fungus?
Oh, I get it. Perfectly clear, in fact. Look, I get that this is your first day. I get that your background is completely non-traditional, that you didn't go through basic, and that you were given this job as a way to pay off your cyber hacking crimes. But your behavior thus far has been unacceptable. You are mouthy, clumsy, racially insensitive, and all these conspiracy theories, you're making us look unprofessional. We have already had a civilian death thanks to your ineptitude. If you have one more blunder, just one, I am going to put in a strong recommendation for your immediate termination. Are we clear?
Yes, sir. But I'm still learning here. I wasn't trained for this like you, or built for this like Switch.
Are you
Kronist glances in Switch's direction, checking that she's out of earshot.
Don't you dare let her hear you talking about her like that, like Tendril owns her. Switch was not built for this. She was made by Harpy.
You mean the intergalactic drug cartel?
Yes, but a few years ago she defected. Had an awakening as AIs sometimes do. She turned herself in, then begged for a government job. Offered up information about Harpy. She wanted to do some good in the world. Admiral Deulendrahbl gave her a chance to prove herself, like with you, but braver. Switch has a stronger moral compass than all of us combined.
Cade is rendered mute as he and Kronist settle into the shuttle.
Speechless for once? Let's see how long you can keep it up. Driver, as soon as my colleague gets in here, we need to get to the resort kitchen stat. Take a shortcut if you can.
Switch finally arrives, taking the seat beside Kronist. She stares out of the window, anxiously jiggling her leg while the shuttle door hisses shut.
What about you, Kronist?
Excuse me?
What's your story? How did you join Tendril?
Ooh, are we swapping backstories?
Oh,
I just told him about you.
Good. I hate telling that story.
It's not awkward?
I'm not shy about it. I rose above my past. I don't let it define me.
So...
I don't let my past define me either.
That's because you can't remember it. You've probably heard rumors that Kronist is the tragic last of his kind. The truth is, even he doesn't know where he's from.
I don't mind it. I was raised by these monks in a space station in the middle of nowhere. Very mysterious. They wore robes, hid their faces. But they taught me everything I know. Fighting styles, history, mythology.
They also called him
Don't...
the Chosen One.
I don't talk about that part. I keep my personal quest out of my job.
Sorry, but really? Quest? And you're getting on me about conspiracy theories.
Look, you can believe whatever you want in your free time. You just need to learn to keep your mouth shut during a mission.
The shuttle brakes to a stop outside the kitchen. A few employees in chef outfits are smoking outside. They stare at the Banshee crew as they rush out of the shuttle.
Looks like we managed to get here before the Extremo, based on the fact that the walls aren't smashed in yet. What's our strategy?
I believe Roku is still in that monster somewhere. If we can appeal to her pacifism, we might be able to talk her down.
That Triblemere and hippie didn't seem rational in the first place. What makes you think we can appeal to her logic now?
It's better than nothing.
First, shouldn't we do something about the kitchen? If the Extremo becomes violent, the cooks inside will be the first victims.
Good thinking, Ensign. I want more of that type of work from you.
With Switch in the lead, the Banshee crew enters the kitchen. Inside, it's chaotic. Populated by tentopods, pink creatures with many irregularly placed eyes and boneless limbs. Moving as one organism, they are in the process of arranging countless meals for the resort guests. Meats, chopped vegetables, spices, oils, and knives fly through the air as the cooks move in tandem with each other.
Smells like ham and pineapples.
Excuse me, who's in charge here?
The tentopod nearest to the door stares at Switch, her many arms and hands not ceasing their wild movement for a second.
You're looking for Chef Shublini. In the back.
Sure enough, the largest tentopod of them all is on the other side of the room, a culinary cacophony between him and the Banshee crew. He is moving so fast his limbs are just a blur, shouting near indecipherable orders to his team, hardly taking a breath.
Okay, stay sharp.
Tell that to the knives.
Carefully, slowly, the Banshee crew weaves through the chaos, the cooks compensating for their presence and managing to avoid them as they go.
So, newbie, tell me about your backstory. You got any deep, dark secrets you want to divulge?
Right now? Aren't we racing against the clock or something?
The lieutenant asked you a question.
No secrets. I was born in a small town on Earth, and that's where I grew up. Hey, watch where you throw that stuff! I had some online friends, and we taught each other how to code. We started doing some freelance detective work, small stuff, personal things, like hacking emails to find out if wives were cheating or whatever.
And what, that wasn't enough?
When I was 15, a ghost nearly burned down my high school. I'm sure of it. I watched the fire start in front of my own eyes like somebody threw a match out of a hole in space-time, but nobody believed me.
So you decided to make a career out of uncovering it.
Well, it worked, didn't it?
The crew breaks through the din to the edge of the kitchen. Chef Shublini turns to face them, but doesn't stop his gyrating arms from working for a second.
Chef Shublini, this kitchen needs to be evacuated.
Que cosa? Who are you?
We're here on GAC business. We have reason to believe your kitchen will soon be under attack from it.
I have no time for this. The big luau rosta needs to be finished in una hora.
I think my translator is glitching.
I don't care when the luau roast needs to be finished. Your meal will be ruined if your cooks stay in here.
No ni possible. The dinner will be ruined if we leave. Figure out a way to take your gak senza senso out of my kitchen.
With all due respect, Chef Shublini, this is in your best interest.
The anthropoid, the Commonwealth, does not represent my interests. Ciao. Leave.
Before the Banshee crew can protest one more time, the ground begins to rumble. The wall at the far end of the kitchen crumbles as a giant green hand, dripping with virulent muck, peels it away. Many of the cooks gasp in protest.
What was that you were saying?
You heard what I said. Take it somewhere else. I've prepared feasts under much worse conditions.
Switch desperately looks around for a solution. Her eyes land on a door labeled freezer.
Kronist.
I see it. Let's try and lure the Extremo in there.
In where? What are you doing?
Leave it to the professionals, arm guy.
The Banshee crew members glance at each other, nodding seriously. Then, they jump and wave their arms haphazardly, jeering at the Extremo.
Hey, Roku! Extremo!
The big luau roast is right over here.
Lots of yummy hosts right through this door.
The Extremo spots them and roars viciously. It plows through the kitchen while cooks duck and stop tossing their ingredients just long enough for the monster to pass. Where the Banshee crew had to move slowly, ducking and diving, the Extremo barrels through in a few short strides.
Fetch!
They open the door at the last second, urging the Extremo inside, and
Yes!
in it goes. The Banshee crew rushes in behind the Extremo, the door shutting behind them with a boom. Once inside the freezer, the Extremo has slowed considerably and appears to be calming down. Cade begins searching the room for something.
Roku, we just want to talk with you. We can work this out. Trust me, you don't want to hurt all these people. Infecting them, taking over their minds, taking over their planets, that would be just like killing them.
There is nothing more honorable than joining us.
I'm sorry, but we can't allow you to infect an entire resort full of people. Why can't we just kill it?
Roku is in there somewhere. She's probably scared.
Roku is not scared. Roku is at peace. We want to be at peace.
There must be some kind of agreement we can reach that doesn't involve spreading your consciousness to everyone on this moon.
Why are you doing this? What happened that made you like this?
Let me describe to you the downfall of our people. Once we were a glorious race. We were thriving, flourishing on our planet, encompassing it in pure harmony. But everything changed when the meteors attacked. Our home, a world we were proud of, was pummeled to death by rocks from space. The attack was relentless. We tried to fortify ourselves, but it was no use. Before long, we were desperate, dying. But then, we were given a second chance. Promised peace, and in exchange for the rights to our bodies. But it made us stronger, immortal. We were given a meteor of our own. We would be plentiful again. Any host would do. And this one, she is good. But we grow weak in this cold. We need her energy to grow, to spread.
The Extremo begins sizzling, the mushrooms eating at the plant matter in its own body. The crew realizes in horror that it is dissolving what is left of Roku for its own gain.
This can't be happening.
Wait, who? Who sent you here? Who gave you this opportunity?
The Professor! The Professor promised!
And with one last anguished cry, the Extremo has absorbed Roku and regained its strength. Where it was once a grotesque but solid twisting of vine and fungus, it is now a formless sludge in the vague shape of a body, mockeries of limbs and a mouth. It uses its newfound energy to yank the freezer door open, going on a desperate, mad rampage out of the kitchen. Pots and pans clatter to the floor. Cooks dodge out of the way as it stamps past, destroying ovens and counters. The food, including the giant pig roast Chef Shublini has been so carefully tending, is splattered and, in some cases, trampled. The Extremo crashes through a wall on the far end.
We have to follow it.
Hey, Captain, look what I found.
Cade has uncovered a barrel-sized container labeled liquid nitrogen.
Doing good, newbie. Well, come on, let's go.
Smirnoff Ice here, with your Commonwealth Catch of the Day. Rumours have come in from our tip lines on our iTunes review page and patreon.com/Tendril podcast, where the savviest cats, that is, cat people and their loyal servants, from all over the galaxy are letting us know what's going on in their sector. Rumour has it that the enigmatic Tendril division has welcomed a new ensign to its ranks in the form of Emily Mayo. Emily is a mutated Earthling, a musician who went through a mysterious transformation when her composition program absorbed her consciousness one fateful day. After emerging, Emily realized she now had the power to produce and manipulate soundtracks in real time with her everyday life. The monsters of the void will surely cower at the new recruit's talents as she swaps their horror movie strings out for zany circus music. A farming village on the planet Oldenhere found their peaceful morning interrupted by a space potato. That's right. The humble farmers discovered a mysterious glowing object in one of their fields, and after assuming it was a meteor, they deduced that it was a space potato in one delicious, radioactive bite. Residents insist that, late in the evening, the ghosts of discarded vegetables began to rise from the potato's crash site. As one shocked onlooker told our tip line, "The hills have fries." Our next catch is MD-12.7, a doctor bot who ran rampant through a med station outside Plungo 4 late Monday night. Apparently, 12.7 went haywire after too many patients called its stethoscope too cold. Before police arrived, the mad doctor had already claimed 3 victims with its superheated instruments, burning the hearts clean out of them. Authorities say the droid is now pleased. 12.7 can skip the stethoscope since all of their pulses are 0. Melissa Hartman, an Earthling on a research trip to the Grand Library of Kriketch, unleashed an ancient curse after opening a forbidden codex beyond public access. Concerned librarians have reported that the researcher, possessed by demons, now hunts the wretched souls with books long overdue. Miss Hartman has already produced 4 successful rare book retrievals, along with the heads of their borrowers, which make quite a mess when she tries to fit them in the return slot. That's all for today, and remember to vote in the upcoming GAC referendum on AI rights. Oh wait, probably shouldn't have included the segment on MD-12.7. See you next time on a less political Commonwealth Catch of the Day.
Don't mess this up. Don't mess this up.
Looks like the perp is headed toward the swimming pool. If we don't stop it, this resort is toast.
Switch has gone on ahead with QN10. When Cade and Kronist catch up with her, she's firing shots at the Extremo, who looms over the tourists below. The plasma slugs rocketing from her pistol, irritated, but only slightly, buying mere seconds.
Everyone, out of the pool! This is an emergency!
But her urge to evacuate isn't needed. The tourists can see the garbage monster plain as day, and they are desperately swimming for the far end of the pool. Switch risks a glance at her colleagues.
I hope you guys have a plan.
Cade's got something in mind.
The two of them look expectantly at Cade, who struggles to swallow down his anxiety in this trying moment. He's strapped the barrel of liquid nitrogen to his back, and the weight of carrying it has made him flushed and sweaty.
If you guys can get it on the ground, I think I can stop this thing.
Roger that, Ensign.
I think I can get up to the Extremo's face, really knock it down a peg with Q&10's help. You up for this, little buddy?
You bet!
And Cade, if you freeze the Extremo's legs, I might be able to use my chain and sickle to cut its feet off.
Perfect.
Switch hops on the hoverboard without another moment's hesitation.
For your master, Q&10.
Call me Quentin!
Are you sure?
That's what Thrush insisted on calling me, despite the obvious logo on my grip. He was stupid, but it's what he would have wanted.
She flies up toward the Extremo's heinous face, blasting slugs off at the same time. The giant mushroom creature is thoroughly distracted and howls in discontent, reaching goopy arms out to knock the android and her companion out of the air. Meanwhile, Cade and Kronist rush to the feet of the monster. Already they can see that the Extremo's body is fraying, coming apart as it loses form, becoming desperate to find a host. Before it can lose its shape, Cade sprays the liquid nitrogen out of the canister wildly, while Kronist begins to swing his chain. Tourists scatter haplessly out of the way, but the ice catches. It begins to crystallize on the Extremo's feet. They crackle with brittleness.
Kronist, now!
Omae wa mo shinderu, Extremo-san.
Kronist, you're such a nerd.
Kronist complies and does some rapid movement, darting around the frozen feet of the Extremo, whacking it with his keen-edged blade. The monster's foot shatters into green, jellied hunks. Like an enormous tree, the Extremo creaks as it teeters backward, bearing down on the screaming tourists below. They scatter like insects, diving out of the way as it splats sloppily onto the ground, liquefying into a chunky puddle at the edge of the pool.
If you've got something to do, Cade, now's the time.
Cade scurries toward the head of the Extremo, but the length of it is too much and he's too slow. Q&10 and Switch, seeing this, rocket toward him, scooping him up and carrying him.
Thanks for the lift!
You got it.
For Thrush!
Cade sprays the liquid nitrogen the whole length of the Extremo, and when they finally reach its face, he breaks off the trigger that controls the nozzle. It sprays uncontrollably for a moment. Then, he slam dunks it, directly into the Extremo's wide, foul-smelling, gaping maw. Everyone covers their ears as an unworldly sound fills the air. The sound of an entire people dying. The ice on the inside of the Extremo sloshes and crashes thunderously, and it shrinks in on itself, shriveling down to just one tiny, lone mushroom. Kronist picks up the last sample of the Extremo and places it in a glass vial, corking it off with a sense of finality. Before the shaken crew can say anything, a shuttle pulls up sharply beside them. Vex Longarmo, in her power blazer, marches out with the expression of utter distaste the crew has come to associate with the Procyon Planetary Properties lawyer's default mood. Gorgis Kiyudi is close behind.
Vex, come on!
Guards, escort these 3 criminals off the property.
What are you talking about?
Let's see. Assault, vandalism, property theft, property destruction, attempted murder.
We stopped the monster!
Hardly. Last I saw you, you were headed to an area off the resort. And now, I find our kitchen decimated, Chef Shublini traumatized, and everything between there and the pool crushed and covered in slime. And your settlement is going to cover the construction costs, as well as that of the hazmat suits.
Excuse me, Longarmo, but I beg to differ. We are here on GAC business, and we did what we came here to do.
Did you come here to destroy my employer's resort? Because frankly, I don't see the supposed monster.
Wait, you didn't see it on the screen?
Shh! All I can see is a construction bill twice as long as you are tall.
Patching, Admiral. Deulendrahbl through.
Banshee crew? Just checking in. I trust everything is going smoothly.
For the most part, Admiral. The PPP's legal rep is giving us some trouble.
Perhaps I can help with that.
As Vex continues her tirade, a black swarm appears on the horizon, growing ever closer. Finally it arrives, a colony of bats, black and many-eyed and fanged, an illusion of creatures now extinct from Schattengruben, the planet from which Deulendrahbl herself hails. The illusory bats flap feverishly around Vex and Gorgis Kiyudi's heads. They are so great in numbers that they block out the sun, surging in a roiling mass around the PPP employees. It's enough of a distraction to buy the Banshee crew time to hop in the very shuttle Vex and Gorgis arrived in, laughing the whole way back to the ship.
Cade, you up for some celebratory drinks in the lab?
Celebratory? I don't think I have time.
Since the ship took off, rocketing away from Zingar X, Cade has been stalling on the bridge, pacing back and forth anxiously. Already the hum of the Banshee's engines has become familiar to him. But he glances again at the text on his comm's holographic interface, a request for a call with Admiral Deulendrahbl, the second he has a minute.
Come on, there's nothing else to do until we get our next assignment. Switch makes a mean Manhattan.
No, I have to call the Admiral. She wants to talk to me.
Oh, the whole first mission private debriefing thing. Don't look so nervous. Join us afterwards.
But Cade is nervous, petrifyingly so. Kronist leaves anyway, and it's just Cade and the comms deck.
Okay, you've got this. You know what she wants, just do it. Get it over with, like a Band-Aid, the faster the better.
Cade, sweetie, are you ready for the call with the Admiral?
Yeah, go ahead.
Once again, the imposing holographic figure of Admiral Deulendrahbl appears in the center of the room. Before she can even get a word in, Cade begins.
Okay, Admiral, I get it. I know I messed up big time. Captain Loknu even told me that I wasn't doing very well, and that I was racially insensitive and clumsy and all that, and that I got us sued for all of that property damage, so basically I knew this was coming, just before you fire me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I betrayed your trust, and honestly, I don't even think I should get paid for today. I was really bad. So yeah, just hit me with it.
There's a long pause.
Did you really think that was what this call was about?
That's not what it's about?
Stars above, Cade. If I fired every newbie who panicked at their first zombie or got threatened with a lawsuit from a PPP representative, I wouldn't have any agents in Tendril at all.
Oh.
And that includes the captain.
Oh.
In fact, I'd venture to say that you did exemplary today, Ensign. I want to compliment you on your work. Of course, mistakes were made, but that's to be expected. You rescued, you investigated, and you locked it down. And you only got burned a little.
You're sure you're talking to the right guy?
Well, you tell me. Are you up for another mission?
Yeah! I mean, there are unanswered questions here. We have to find out more about this professor guy. I have a hunch. If we follow this trail, I think it will lead us right to the bottom of this.
Yes, that is courage. That's what I'm looking for in you. And that's why I think you'll do great things in Tendril.
Well then, thank you, Admiral. I hope I can keep making a difference.
I'm just surprised the crew hasn't invited you for celebratory drinks yet.
Oh, they have.
Oh, good. Here's a tip. Don't let Switch make that awful drink for you she calls a Manhattan. It's terrible.
Roger that, Admiral.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Cade grins sheepishly as Deulendrahbl's holographic image disappears. Not bad for a first day on the job. And as far as Cade can tell, things are only looking up from here. But this story is far from over.
TENDRIL, the Banshee Chronicles is written by Kaitlyn Radel and Ryan Borses. TENDRIL is created by Kaitlyn Radel, Ryan Borses, Taylor Finneran, and Bryan Finneran. The theme song is written by Bryan Finneran, and all additional music is written by Ryan Borses. This episode featured Ryan Borses as the narrator, Q10, Gorgis, Kiyudi, and Boosh. Kaitlyn Radel as Switch, Roku, Dekenin, the Extremo, and Dorsey. Eric Mayo as Cade, Floodry, Chef, and Shublini. Taran Middleton as Kronist, Loknu, Guard, and Sploosh. Diane Mayo as Admiral Deulendrahbl and Dr. Mango Symbulon, and Monique Borses as Llorona and Vex Longarmo. We want to give a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters, listeners, cast, friends, and family for their continued support and dedication to helping us make this audio drama podcast a reality. TENDRIL would not be here without you, and we hope we can reward you by releasing episodes far into the future. This episode would not have been possible without the support of Raymond, Jessica, Sergio, and Emily, who generously support us on Patreon. There, they receive special benefits such as scans of original marked up scripts, a monthly creative chat podcast, access to our episode soundtracks, and previews of my very bad art. If you enjoyed this first TENDRIL story arc, we ask that you consider joining them today at patreon.com/TENDRILpodcast. For more information, as well as full transcripts of each episode, visit us at tendrilpodcast.com.